This is Lesson 2, the Dirty Truth Part 2 in the Soils and Rocks unit. This is going to start with a review of the different things students observed and learned in Lesson 1. They're going to continue some of the soil tests that they started as well as do some new ones. The first thing that you're going to do is review the 3 types of soil that you've already been working with: the sand, the clay, and the humus. Talk about what students observed doing the smear tests and doing their observations, as well as when they did the ball test. Talk about the ball test results when they did the wet ones yesterday, and now those have dried at least overnight so that you can start the next part of the test, which is the dry test. For this, you'll go ahead and get the samples that were already made and have dried overnight, and the students will make observations first with how they appear, and if that appearance is any different than when it was wet. And then the next thing students are going to do is they're going to try to crumble these to see if there's any difference. We want them to pay attention to maybe which ones were the hardest or the easiest to make, and now which ones are the hardest or the easiest to crumble, and see if they can make any connections that way. So they will do that using the samples that they have already made. And again, they're going to record those results in their student workbook. It's in the exact same section where they made their observations about the wet test the day before. Okay. Once they're done with that, then we're going to do a settling test. And this may be a good opportunity to talk about the vocabulary of the word settling and what that means and how solids can settle inside of liquids. In order to do this, the first thing they'll do is take a cup with a lid. Let them know that when they're done with this, they will be shaking it, so they want to be very sure that the lids are on securely. You may want to even check that beforehand so that you don't have water spraying all over the place. The first thing that they will do is take a little bit of the soil. Their instructions are in their student workbook. So they'll put some of the soil into the cup. These are the same soil samples that they were using from Lesson 1. You can just save those and reuse them to save some prep time. Okay, they're going to add some water to that. Put the lid on. Make sure it's secure. And then they will need to shake that. And then set it down, and without disturbing it, they'll want to make an observation of what it looks like right away. And then they'll want to just set it to the side while they work on another sample to allow that some time for settling while they start the next sample. Again, observing what it looks like right away and then allowing it some time to settle before they make their final observation. Encourage your students to use some very precise language at this time. It's a great time to integrate the Common Core skills of speaking and listening and using precise language. They'll probably initially be using words like "it looks yucky" or "it looks gross," and let's encourage them to use some more scientific language, describing colors. There's a lot of good vocabulary enrichment you can do at this time too. That water is cloudy or it's not cloudy. So this is a really good time. I like to work with my students on really encouraging some good descriptive language at this time. Once they have had an opportunity to work and have done all 3 of their settling tests, you can also, for an extension, either have each group keep their samples or take one representative sample from 3 different groups. Leave those overnight and let the settling continue overnight and have them observe it at least 24 hours later as well. Then what we want students to do is to look at their 3 samples after they've had a chance to settle and make a prediction of what they think what would happen if we took 1 cup and put samples of all 3 soils into the same cup. Take the learning from the first part of it and apply it to form their hypothesis of what will happen. Okay, just like before, shake it up. Have them observe what they see right away. and then allow it some time to settle. Observe again later, and then again, this one can sit overnight as well. Have them observe all parts of it and record those observations in their student workbook as well.